Trains might seem like a safe form of transportation. They are, after all, heavy machines riding on fixed beams of steel. But there are some really scary train rides you can take if your heart can manage terrifying heights, zigzagging rails through steep mountainous terrain, and riding over dangerous landscapes. With that in mind, we've put together 10 of the most dangerous railways in the world. Watch if you dare. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And if you thought this video was good, then don't forget to like it and comment below. The Aso Minami Route, Japan. Imagine a narrow bridge just big enough for the rails of a train, running at a very high altitude. The train barely rests on the rails, and at first glance it may seem that its construction is completely fragile. And if you get a chance to watch the operator during this ride, noticing their concentration while navigating will only confirm your fears. But what other dangers wait for a tourist who dares travel the Aso Minami Railway? One word: volcano. This railway happens to be close to Aso, the biggest Japanese live volcano. Of course, no one can predict when a new eruption will happen, but passing through the main bridge after an eruption, one could observe lava streams and scorched forest close up. Just hope that you and the train aren't part of the scorching. The Tren a las Nubes, Argentina. The train to the clouds has long become a legend among fans of extreme tourism. This railway strikes the imagination with its grandiosity, beauty, and of course danger. The construction of this railway took 30 years to complete. Its creators originally wanted to overcome the most difficult parts of the mountainous terrain, so in 1948, they built a railway 217 kilometers long and 4,000 meters high above sea level. It passes through the deepest canyons and highest rocks. And if you are taking the scenic route, you will pass through 21 tunnels and over 29 bridges. You will feel like you are on one of the most unimaginable attractions. The rails form zigzags and spirals, barely straying off the most dangerous zones of the landscape. This ride is one that is not for the faint of heart, but rewarding for the brave adventurer. Nariz del Diablo, Devil's Nose Train, Ecuador. The very name of this railway hints at the fact that it is not the safest one. It will impress even the most traveled of tourists with its length and heart-stopping height of 9,000 feet above sea level. The train literally climbs up sheer rock full of zigzags that were built as being the only way up this mountain. This railway is rightfully considered one of the most dangerous in the world because of its terrain. If you get a chance to ride this one, make sure you aren't afraid of heights and have a strong heart, because this is one exhilarating ride. The Kuranda Scenic Railway, Australia. The rainforest of the Barren Reserve is an amazing sight with its beauty, and especially when it's viewed from a high altitude. To get a good scenic view, you could fly over it on an airplane, but you could also take Kuranda Railway train. But prepare yourself. This journey lasts about 2 hours, and during this time, you will pass over 37 kilometers of sharp rocks and incredible forest. And if you don't think this is a dangerous railway, the train runs extremely slow at certain points to prevent unnecessary vibrations that could lead to catastrophic consequences. After all, the bridge on the route was built in the beginning of the 19th century. But if you are brave enough to ride the Kuranda Railway, bring a camera and something to calm your nerves if you are afraid of heights. The Argo Gede Train Railroad, Indonesia. Many tourists like to travel from Bandung to Jakarta, since on the way you can enjoy the indescribable beauty of the mountains, tiny settlements, rice fields, and see the tea plantations. It's enough for some to sit comfortably in their seats, breathe in the fresh mountain air, and enjoy the trip. But only a few brave people risk looking down, and that is because this narrow railway runs at a very high altitude, and furthermore, its construction can hardly be called reliable. Engineers unanimously assure everyone that the bridge is completely safe, but the accident statistics clearly speak the opposite. In 2002, an accident occurred and the train derailed. Luckily, all the passengers survived. But there is no telling when the next accident is likely to occur, and if the next passengers will be so lucky. Ride this one only if you like to live dangerously. The Chennai, Ramaswaram, India. You may agree that traveling on a ship or a boat would be the obvious way to get across the sea. But why not build a railroad across the sea, which will swing under the force of the strongest winds and crashing storm waves? This is exactly what the creators of the Chennai Ramaswaram thought, and we're not sure why. This railway, which was built back in 1914, connects the mainland of India and the Ramaswaram Island. There are a lot of historical sites on the island itself, and millions of tourists willingly visit it and bravely travel over the dangerous 1.4 kilometers long sea bridge. There are often strong storms in this part of the sea, which literally flood the rail tracks, giving bold travelers an unforgettable experience. This one is another ride if you dare experience. The Georgetown Loop, Colorado. In the second half of the 19th century, this railway was the only transport for silver miners who wanted to get over the Rocky Mountains. Over time, when the construction of the mines was completed, these railroad tracks fell into decay and began to collapse. In 1973, this narrow-gauge railway was restored especially for tourists who love an adrenaline rush. The route is 4.5 miles long, passing many scenic attractions. The most dangerous part is the bridge crossing the top of the gorge on a 95-foot-high trestle. Sitting in the train car, you will notice that the train slows down here. This is not only done for your enjoyment of the beautiful landscape, but also for safety reasons. Passengers have said that you can actually feel the bridge move and hear the creaks and groans of the old bridge as the heavy locomotive and train cars pass over it slowly. The Pilatus Railway, Switzerland. If you are bored with trips on flat ground, then why not take a train that climbs up a steep mountain to the edge of a cliff? The Pilatus Railway is the steepest railway in the world. It was built way back in 1889, and since then faced many changes as sections of the railroad have repeatedly collapsed. For some it was a disaster, and for others, an inspiration. Many engineers found the embodiment of their innovative ideas here, including the cogwheel system used here for the first time. This invention prevented the train from rolling down the mountain because braking the train would be nearly impossible. The trip on this railway takes 30 minutes, where you will see stunning cliffs and experience unimaginably narrow bridges overhanging the gorges. But if you are afraid of high places, then don't look down, because in some places on the railway, it will seem like you're on a train car in mid-air overlooking the steep rocky cliffs. This is a great ride for brave adventurers. The Utanika-Tuchoi train, South Africa. The most dangerous railroad in South Africa was built in 1908, but the first passengers would only be able to use it 20 years later. The reason was a serious accident that occurred just a couple days after the opening. The most dangerous part of the road is the Kaiman's Bridge running along the coast of the Indian Ocean. For 40 miles, you can enjoy the scenery of the mountains and the ocean, which usually floods parts of this railway. In 2006, a part of the railway track was completely flooded. It has since been repaired and is currently open. Even knowing the dangers of this railway, thousands of tourists continue to push their luck on the coast of Western Cape, looking for breathtaking landscapes. The White Pass and Yukon Route, Alaska. This railway was built in 1889 during the Gold Rush era, connecting Canada and the United States. For 110 miles, you will experience a lot of dangerous cliffs and rifts at a 2,865-foot elevation. There's some long and dark tunnels that the railway passes through, so make sure you're not claustrophobic. As you make your way through rocky canyons, you might hear the 100-year-old planks creaking under the weight of the train car. Tourists from all over the world come here searching for thrills, and in Canada, this railway will surely give any brave adventurer a thrill of a lifetime. If you enjoyed this video, then click subscribe for new video notifications. And don't forget to like and share with your friends.